You looking for me, you can find me at the barbershop. Pulling up to get a cut, bumping through the parking lot. I keep it clean, Rico's where I'm running to. If you in the city, then you probably gonna be coming to. Gang getting down, Red's getting down, Nick getting down, Ron getting down, just to name a few. Everybody blade on point. You trying to get fresh, I'm telling you this the joint. Hands down, top shop up in this vicinity. Promises age 9, LaRon been getting me. Temper on the side, I'm trying to grow out the way.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the K.O.S. Knowledge Yourself Barber Podcast. Today I have a very special guest, a friend of mine for many, many, many years. Legend in the game, but she's also underground. She works with the city. She's a big deal. She's the reason why we have UFC events. She's the reason why we have club events. Pretty much, she's going to explain everything she does. My dear friend, Christina Crespi.
Hi, Gene.
How are you? Okay, I was going to say your title, but, it's very long.
Sure. I know it's
Let
a
me
mouthful.
read it. Hold on, because I want to say this. I've been saying this to all my clients.
Sure.
Christina Crespi is the CEO, Executive Director, Miami Downtown Development Authority.
You got it right. That's it.
That's what it is, right?
That's what it is.
So for those that don't really know what that means, what does that mean?
It means a lot. So our agency is the Economic Development Agency for the City of Miami. And what we do is market Miami globally, right? We recruit businesses from around the world to be in downtown, make sure downtown's thriving. We support and retain our local businesses. And then we provide grants and sponsorships to create events, activations, placemaking. We do urban planning projects. And we also clean the streets, utilizing formerly homeless individuals and give them jobs and opportunity.
So you'll have a lot of spare time.
No, I don't.
Well, on the podcast.
I mean, I love it, but yes, it's a busy job, but I have a great team, thank God, that supports me, and I couldn't do it without them.
Oh, shout out to the team.
Yeah, one time.
So I was telling you, the podcast is about pretty much knowledge yourself. What we do here is we discuss the collection of wisdom on the science of everything in life. So that's like the self-awareness, self-concept, self-knowledge. And what we do is we pretty much run through the day-to-days that we have, decision-making.
Right.
And then we try to nitpick and analyze where you decided to take a turn here, take a turn there. And with that, hopefully whoever's watching or viewing might get inspired, might get, aspiration to do something bigger. So once I had the chance to have you here, I was like, oh, that's great. Because we've had rappers, we've had movie directors, we have producers, we've had everything. Except the city official.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I'll call myself the city official, but definitely we're an independent agency of the city of Miami, so we work autonomous. We're run by a 15-member board of directors that has a stake in the downtown area. Nice. Brickell downtown in Edgewater, right? That's our footprint. And so I work with a great team and a great partnership with the board and my staff.
I mean, you guys do a good job. You guys grown. It's been, how long have you been in that position already?
9 years, believe it or not.
9 years. Time flies.
Yeah, time does fly. And before that, I was at the county working at the highest levels at the then county manager's office, now the mayor's office for 10 years.
So now you're at the mayor's office.
Yeah, that was back in the day. You know, I
All
started
right,
young.
We'll get there. Yeah. So let's start in the beginning. I've known you since, middle school? Has it been or high school?
Like high school, I would say, yeah.
High school, freshman year.
Yeah,
long
freshman
time ago.
year.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
We had fun. Those were good times.
Yes, that's for another time. But high school was fun. I remember I always saw you involved with the school.
Yeah,
you were
I
always
was
either
definitely
with the
involved
pep
in
rallies, events, and things of that nature. So freshman year, we were 14, 15 years old?
Right.
And did you ever think at that time that you were going to be in this position now?
I wouldn't say that I've never been a person that could foresee, or vision.
You go with the flow.
I go with the flow, right? Whatever opportunities present themselves, I'm always going to throw myself 100% to make things happen. But I definitely had a passion for public service and
that is
making
for sure. I could vouch on that. I remember you always being in everything. And you were the plug.
So funny.
Give me a ticket. Okay, get me in. All right.
That's it still kind of happens now, but yeah, in a way. Kind of funny that you say that.
I think it was you that let me into the prom. Because they didn't let me into the prom. You remember that?
No, I don't.
They didn't let me into the prom. I had to sneak in.
Wow, I forgot
but I got
about
in.
that. Yeah. I was homecoming queen class in 99, remember that?
I remember. I voted.
Yeah. We had a whole campaign. So, yeah, I think I always had a little bit of that energy around public service.
And my boy Robert got the king. I remember that. Yeah. I mean, nobody else was running, but he won it. It was fine.
Yeah, it was like a no-brainer, right?
It was a no-brainer. I was like, that is the prom king right there.
Yeah.
So you were born in Miami, right?
Miami Beach, Florida.
Miami Beach, Florida. And your parents are from Miami Beach as well?
No, my mom's Cuban and my dad's from Venezuela, and then my stepfather's from Iowa.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a mix.
Yeah, that's a mix.
So how did that affect you growing up?
Definitely, I would say, I had a great upbringing. My parents have always been really supportive, really hardworking. They were small business owners, pretty much all
The gym, right?
The gym, yeah, you went. Remember, I had my 16th birthday at the gym, the whole thing.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a fun time. But yeah, I grew up very, humbly, I would say, on Alton Road and on 545 South Shore Drive on Miami Beach.
We looked up to your house. We were like, wow.
Yeah, but
we would drive to school and be like, dang, Christina lives there.
Well, that was because, they came from Cuba.
They had an opportunity.
They had an opportunity.
That was in the 70s, right?
They came here in 1960. I want to say 59, 60.
Way
yeah.
before that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My grandmother came with her 3 little girls. My grandfather was a doctor, came here, bought the house on Miami Beach, and then went back and got his medical license to be able to work here in the States.
Yeah.
He was a doctor in Cuba and whatever. And then my grandmother, who had been a stay-at-home mom, then had to go to work to kind of, provide for the family, and went back to school and managed all of Mount Sinai's cardiology unit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, so she was, they were very hardworking and really instilled in their daughters the same, which carried on to us as kids, right?
It shows, man. It shows.
Yeah.
Like I said, you were always involved. You were never lazy. You were always there, present,
absolutely.
and shined.
Thank you for that.
So high school, how was that for you?
High school was, a whirlwind of fun. And, I think that we had a great group of friends, right?
It was fun.
We had a great group of friends. It was fun, but we also were very, I wouldn't say we were the best, students of all time, but we definitely maintained that.
We were there.
We showed up.
That's what Dr. Renoir told me.
Yeah,
He's like,
Dr. Renoir was a
you're gonna
definite inspiration. He was a great principal,
He pretty much saved me. You probably didn't know. I was a time.
He saved a lot of us.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I wasn't into school, right?
Yeah.
I was into playing soccer.
Yeah, and you were great. And we used to go to all the soccer games,
fun,
and
right?
it was a great time. Yeah.
So at that time, I had issues in the sense of like, I don't want to do school. And Dr. Renoir, I guess, sensed it, and he brought me in, and he's like, hey.
Yeah, he did.
As long as you come,
don't
worry about the grades. And I'm like, really? He's like, I know you, Gene, what you're going through. And I was like, all right, cool. I did good, my best. I mean, I graduated. I did and then I continued.
Right.
But I made a decision at that time to like shift the energy from like not caring to actually caring.
Right. Same. Yeah.
But
same.
in your story, you've always wanted to achieve. I think you've overachieved.
Thank you for that.
Constantly.
That means a lot to me. Yeah. No.
Constantly.
I'll tell you a story, which I'm not going to name names, but when I went to the counselor then and said I want to go to college, they said, "Oh, you're never going to get into college," right? And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And that just made me want to work harder. And Dr. Renoir took me under his wing, and I was able to get into Florida State University, go Seminoles, right? I know my parents wanted to kill me because they're diehard fans, right?
You remember that day that was FSU?
Oh, there's been many.
We ran into. You're like, Christina. You're like, It was fun times.
Yeah, we had a good time. But I left by myself because none of our friends at the time. I pretty much packed up my stuff. Later. I went first alone, right?
Robert went a year later.
Later, yeah. And
you
so did Mandy and Tashi and all of our friends, they came after. So I went by myself because, well, one, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. And, I had been babysitting and taking care of all my siblings. And I was like done with that.
How's your brother?
They're all doing great. They're all great. Yeah.
So your brother.
And my sister, everybody's great. But my grandmother said, you are not staying here, because it's hard to leave Miami. Miami's amazing. Who wants to leave Miami?
Let's dive into that.
So
that is a self-awareness. You were aware that you wanted to go to college.
Yeah, 100%. But was I going to stay here? Was I going to go? And it really was the push of Dr. Renoir at Beach High.
He got you in, or you got accepted there and then you could go?
I got accepted under a program at the time for minorities, right? So I did a great ACT. My SAT, not so good, but my ACT was great. I got in, and it was a done deal. Like, I was going. My mom was not happy because she wanted me to stay home. Mommy's girl. She didn't want me to leave. And I wanted to leave. And let me tell you, those first 6 months were tough because I had none of my friends there. And you definitely homesick. I came home, I think, every other weekend.
So let's
those
go
first
there.
6 months.
So you had enough awareness to be like, okay, this is a good opportunity.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you have any doubts?
I would say when I got there, I kind of felt, imagine you're at this, Tallahassee is like, I call it like Southern Georgia. It's not like Miami.
It's a small little place.
It's
man.
very small, but it's very Southern. And so for me, growing up in Miami where people don't have that Southern hospitality, it was a little weird for me, right?
Being
Like
too friendly.
I'm walking to the door and someone's holding the door for me, like all that stuff that maybe we didn't experience here for whatever reason, like I experienced there. And it was a cool thing. It kind of opened up my horizons in that way. But I was homesick because I missed all of my support system, my friends, my family. I come from a big family. We're very close-knit. We all lived under the same roof, 11 people under the same roof at one point. So it was hard to leave and stay.
So you had doubt.
Yeah, I had doubt. And then once I met my very good friend, Ali Castro, who was from Miami, who, we were both sitting there picking our classes, and she had her little vibe, and I'm like, oh, who's that girl, whatever. And, we became like very good friends in a weird way at that time.
So she comforted you.
And she comforted me, and then I was able to stay.
Could you imagine if you would have left?
No, I can't even put that in my mind.
Did you have that thought?
I mean, I would say like I came home a lot, but every time I would come home, it was a reassurance that what I was doing was the right path, right? Like this was an opportunity I was given by the skin of my teeth, to be honest, because
you were majoring in what?
I was actually a pre-med major.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, you were going to follow your family's footsteps?
Yeah, I was going to be a doctor. I even interned in the hospital there for a while.
Wow.
And then I got weeded out by organic chemistry too. That's what kind of like was enough for me.
It was nasty?
Because it wasn't that. It was that once I was there, I invited all the girls to come up. Robert came up and everything. And, I was always studying and they were always partying and having fun, and I wasn't having fun. And I'm like, I can't do this. It just kind of weeded me out, which is what the program is supposed to do. Yeah. So then I went into psychology and ended up in the School of Social Work and had a great professor then, Kathleen Carney. She was amazing and really drove the path to where I am today, right? So my friends came later. A year later, we had 2 houses, girls next door. We had all the girls from Beach High and all our new friends, and we all lived next door to each other, and it was a great time. Wow. But I was graduating a year before all of them were graduating, right? Because I had already been there. And I decided, whatever, I'm just going to get my master's. And I stayed and I got my master's.
Wow.
Because I didn't want to leave my friends, to be honest.
Okay,
That's
so
the honest
you were
truth.
aware that, I don't want to do this medical thing anymore.
Yeah, but
and you had an actual teacher that...
No, she
inspired me. What did that teacher say to you and inspire you?
She just saw something in me that nobody ever had really told me. The fact that how the critical thinking skills that I had, and she really elevated me and made me kind of believe in myself at the time where, maybe I was, at 20 years old, 21 years old. Yeah, I got inspired basically.
Which is what we're trying to do here.
Right, exactly.
That's what I was telling you.
And I had a good, all it takes is 1 or 2 people that kind of lift you up.
Correct.
And then it elevates.
I mean, if you're lucky, one or 2.
If you're lucky, yes.
All you need is one person
to hear
one
very
thing,
blessed.
And it sparks the mind of somebody, and then they'll continue the ambition in their mind that I don't know what to do, but let me try this.
Right, exactly.
And that's what you did.
Yeah, and then I had some obstacles through the roads there. I did some internships in Tallahassee that were a little, maybe not the best fit, that caused some hiccups here and there, but I overcame those obstacles and had all my friends, my support system was there. Boom, now I'm getting my master's, and then we're all graduating together, And I'm proud to say that all of us are successful women in business, and that makes me really proud.
I know.
From Miami Beach High, class of 1999.
We were talking about that off camera.
Yeah.
How all of us in our own little paths got to a higher status.
Yeah, and we worked for that.
It's always been like that. Like I've always remembered us like honors classes, and then we'll do this, and then party, and then running this, and then
work hard, play hard. That's what it has to be.
Senior year, we were pretty much running the whole thing, and now you're developing the city.
Yeah, thank you.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So, okay, he inspired you. What was it that you told yourself, or what was it that she told you? Sorry. What was it that she told you? You remember?
I think it was just the way she taught, right? It was a very unique way of teaching. Okay. She did like case studies and made us kind of like...
She made
us understand like real life situations and kind of role play, I would say, off that.
Nice.
And supported that growth. Usually in college they kind of like talk at you. Well, at the time, now things are different, but at the time,
to you? They used to scream at me.
They talk at you, and like you're taking notes.
Yeah.
And she really did create opportunities that were a path for success in the way that she did it. She used herself as an example.
How old were you when you took this class?
I must have been at the time, 21? I would say
so
22.
at 21 years old, you already had like the foresight to see exactly where you were going
Yeah.
because of that inspiration.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, that's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
And now
I think, you know,
here
college.
spreading love,
Yeah.
sharing the knowledge, and you're the first girl on the podcast.
I love that. I'm so happy. There has to be more of us.
We're gonna bring more. We got to bring more. Who else are we talking about? Darling. Who else?
Darling, Mandy. I mean, Sylvie. She's a nurse practitioner, as an example. I mean, all of them, all of our girls, all
That's
of that
what I'm
group.
trying to do with the podcast. I'm trying to get people
you need to bring them on here.
to like understand that being knowledgeable doesn't mean you're like the smartest person. It's more understanding of self, right? Knowledge of self. Because every day I have clients, man, and I talk to them, and the younger ones, they don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, it's just a different generation. I think, you know, that's what I was
They
getting
said
at.
the same thing about us, the older, but it's changed, right? Or evolves.
Well,
if
and
you
the
wanna say
will
it.
too, and like the will internally, right, to want to create that path for yourself too. I think it's
Yeah, but, like,
important.
now they have like cancel culture.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
Right.
Like, oh, I'm gonna get canceled. Or I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
they're gonna. I'm like, what?
For me, anytime that I've had like an obstacle, I've used it as an opportunity for growth.
Yeah,
You
there's
know.
always growth in anything. And failure,
Right.
you learn.
Right.
You know, you don't achieve something, it's fine. At least you could say, I tried.
And learning from your mistakes. Right. That's
Exactly.
very important.
Thank you.
And not
Exactly.
making them twice or three
I
times.
mean, you
over.
could, but
you
I
can,
mean,
but like, you know, you navigate it a
shame
little
on
bit
you, right?
differently.
Like
Yeah. Shame on me, shame on you, the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, it was really just a really beautiful experience. And let me tell you, if I would have taken the path that I was told in high school, I would have ended up here, you know, maybe going to Miami-Dade College, which I'm not knocking at all. But I really, truly believe by me leaving Miami and experiencing
so you overcame that fear.
Yeah. And
did you have that talk to yourself? Like, I got to do this, Christina?
I did, yeah, a lot of times. Yeah,
Everybody
especially
that sat
I had
there
nights that I
has told that.
cried, like, oh my God, what am I doing here by myself with these people I don't know? You know, it was scary.
Wow.
And I just said, I'm going to stick with this and I'm just going to persevere and get it done. And I did. And it really was that. And I felt so grateful too for being there, to be honest. Like walking around in that campus.
That campus is nice.
It's beautiful. You know, and it was, that alone was inspiring for me.
I walked around and I was like, damn, this is nice.
And I was a dancer too. You know, remember I was on the dance team in high
remember.
school, and Florida State has one of the best dance schools.
You danced for them?
So I minored in dance. Yeah.
We never knew this. We never saw
Well,
you.
I mean, I never got to be on your podcast to talk about it.
Oh, well, back then I was into other activities.
Yeah, so I minored in dance, which was amazing. And I got to kind of keep that creative side of myself. That was my authentic self.
You still dance?
I do sometimes, yes. But lately
In public?
more. Yeah, well, at the club in downtown. Jolene and that, you know, at our new
Nice.
clubs and at Mode. But no, lately I sing. I
know. We're going to get into
We're going to get into that, but
We're gonna
we'll
get
talk
into-
about
wait.
that later. Yeah.
We're still at 21.
Yeah, so
So
yeah, 21. So yeah, I would say, you know, by
You
the time
graduated, what, 22?
I graduated in 2005,
So
right?
24.
And then, yeah, so, you know, you asked me. So then I had to intern, right? To be able to get my master's, you have to do like casework.
Okay.
And I went back to my roots, Miami Beach, right? I was a coach at the Parks and Recreation
Parks and
department.
Recs?
Yeah, and I grew up in that beautiful park system as a kid because I lived on Miami Beach.
In Flamingo?
No, at
North Bay?
Scott Rako Youth
Scott
Center.
Rako
Yeah,
Youth
Scott
Center.
Rako Youth Center. And Musk Park. Right?
Yes.
So I was a kid there. You know, I went to North Beach Elementary. So I went to Musk Park as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I worked there as a teenager.
How did that feel?
Oh, I loved it. It was
Yeah?
so fun. Yeah, I loved, you know,
Like I
having
said,
my
you-
little soldiers, my little children soldiers.
Get in
You know?
line.
Yeah. Let me tell you, 5-year-olds will teach you a lot.
Oh, trust me.
Yeah, and when you have 35-year-olds to be able to manage that alone is management 101. Okay,
They prepped you for this.
absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Isn't that awkward? Like
I
you're
know.
handling 5, 10-year-olds and now you're over here. And
Oh, it
it's
was like
kinda
30
the same
of them.
thing.
Yeah. But so then they graduate youth, like, you know, you start with the 5-year-olds, you get to the 7, 8-year-olds, and then eventually you're in the teens. So, and every time I would come home from college for the summer, I would work there as a coach for the summer. Exhausting job because you're in the sun and you're
Yeah.
dealing with kids. But at the end of the year, at the end of the summer, we would have a show. Right. And so
you
we
had the
we had to
dance
curate the
experience?
show and the whole
you
thing.
loved it.
Oh my God, I loved it. It was so fun. So that was like my love of government and community. It came from that, really. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay. So you were fearing everything, doubting everything. Then you had a talk with yourself. You met a friend. Started developing
It's all
self-concept.
about support. Yeah.
You were aware that, okay, this is something I could do.
Yes.
So you felt like, okay, I could do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Once you felt that, You were off.
I was, smooth cruising.
Never looked back.
Never looked back. Yeah.
All right. So what happened after like the whole working there? And
So then I came home and I did the internship at the Community Services Center at Miami Beach, which, believe it or not, I was a homeless outreach worker. So here I am, little me, 24 years old, 23, 24 years old, and I'm on the streets talking to homeless people, convincing them to take shelter, and I created a tracking system to track success. I met this amazing man who was homeless with his son, and he was a painter, and I did a show for him so he could sell his artwork. And his son reached out to me a couple years ago and told me, because of what you did for my dad, even though he's still not,
so
perfect.
what he was addicted to?
Yeah, it's mostly substance abuse.
abuse.
But he said, I went to college because you inspired me, and for me, that was like
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
That's
So,
awesome you said that, because when I started the podcast, I was telling people a lot, like, yeah, man, we got to do something to help people. And it's mostly when I was talking to my girl, because you seen the movie Sound of Freedom?
Yeah. Well, no, I haven't wanted to watch it because I have a daughter. And I'm kind of scared to watch it.
Yeah, it was sad.
But I'm
like,
going to watch it.
We were both like teared
It's
up at the
freaking
end,
me
and
out,
she's
yeah,
like, Gene, we got to do something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are we going to do?
Yeah. Well,
She wanted to go to LA and work on the border. I'm like, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that it inspired you to think like that is important.
Exactly.
And,
So
and for
then-
that reason, I'll watch the movie. And a lot of people have told me that. I
It's
just
sad, bro. It's sad,
I'm a
sad,
single mom with 2 kids,
Yeah, it's super
and
sad.
I know it exists, but sometimes you just don't want to like have it in your face.
Yeah, like you said, that inspired me to be like, okay, let's do something.
Right.
And then I met Roger from Creative Currency, and we were like, let's do something. And then we ended up making this podcast, and now it's starting to build and grow.
No, super proud of you, and it's
Thank
beautifully
you.
done, by the way.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ever gonna do something, do it right.
right?
Trust me,
That's
because
the way
if you want to like test it out, like, and be a little bit, I guess, cheap about it, it's gonna not work. If it works out,
well, I would say,
salute.
I call it pilots. Testing something out is okay. It's a matter of like learning and kind of growing from what you learn from doing that. But you've done this very well, so congratulations to you.
Nowadays, like the whole cancel culture and people, like, it's hard to get people's attention.
Yeah, no, it's true. There's just so many forms of information.
The most thing that I got here was, oh my God, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. And I'm like, all right, but did you like the...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to finish it later. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like, you're giving me good...
Well, because remember, and I've learned this through my job, right? Because a lot of what we do is marketing and PR. People only have 8 seconds.
That's what it is.
8 seconds of attention span.
Yeah.
Right? And I catch myself doing that. Like, I'm a multitasker. I can do a lot of things at once.
But you have to, because it's what you're doing.
Right. And I think I've been kind of conformed and taught that, but I see it in my kids. Like, during the pandemic, they're on a computer, they're watching TV, and then they're talking to their friends, and they're still learning. I mean, it's kind of crazy how they can retain all that information, and
But
still
they can't
succeed.
remember a phone number.
Oh, my kids can, but yeah.
They could?
Yeah.
I've been trying to get my daughter does, but you know how girls are just...
Girls are, there you go. Thank you for that.
That is true, though. It is 100% true.
The boys definitely, mature later. That's for sure.
So what I did was I changed my son's password to my phone number.
There you go. And then he
knows
knows
it.
it. Yeah.
Now he calls me
Repetition.
wherever. Exactly.
Repetition. I learned that in college. Repeat. That's how you learn.
What do they say? You have to do 10 times or 20 times or say
Yeah,
that?
5 times writing it. And, for me, I still do that to this day. It's so crazy how you like create these habits of learning through college. I never took notes in high school. All right. Like ever. Right. So in college, it was you have to like kind of like relearn things. Right.
Yeah. They're not on your case.
And what I can do is type and write really fast because I took that typing class at Beach High. Remember that typing class?
I never took those
So
classes.
now they call me,
barely there.
they say smoke comes off my keyboard when I'm at work,
Don't tell me you have the keyboard that's like...
No, I can't.
Like the Matrix?
No. The normal one. I'm normal.
I'm going to get you one
But
of those.
no, I've tried it. It doesn't work for
Oh,
me.
really?
No, it doesn't work. I have little hands. But anyways, I have to write everything down to remember it. Like when I write it down, I'm like an elephant. I can remember. Even my staff tells me all the time, like, how do you remember that? Because when I write it, I remember it. And I was taught that. No, like, I'm just on paper. Like,
as soon as you write it down, it's there.
It's in my head, yeah. And I usually don't forget it,
I'd be
to
writing
honest.
things on Post-its, and then I look at it like a week later. I'm like, what the...
I've tried the Post-it thing, you know.
Remember about the red car. I'm like, what red car?
I love me a good whiteboard. That's my go-to.
Yeah, my
good
daughter
whiteboard.
took mine, and that was hers.
Yeah. I put all my ideas on the whiteboard, and as I accomplish them, I erase them.
Did you ever do a vision board?
I've done them, yeah. I mean, I would say my whiteboard is my vision board.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I would
So
say
more
that.
words and phrases and
And whatever I want to accomplish for the year, I put it on the whiteboard, and it's in my house, and I kind of like write down things or things that I'm learning about what I'm experiencing at the time, and then kind of like connect the dots about what's going on around me culturally or whatever in business, and then I kind of erase it as I accomplish it.
wow, it's interesting.
And I go back to it and look at it. Okay, I said I want to do these things. There it is. It's in my face. I can't, like, I wake up to it. It's there.
And as soon as it's done, you erase it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Be organized out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Everybody
took me
has
a
their
while.
way,
It took me a while to get organized because my mind is like moving really
we think
fast.
really fast. Yeah.
So
That's
I'm
our generation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
We were like the beginnings of like technology, like rats, right? We had beepers first, and then we had to remember,
Pagers and
beepers. We had to remember. Think about it. We had to remember number codes. Remember 1, 2, 3 meant
I had
I
one in
miss
my
you.
wallet.
1, 4, 3 was I love you. Like we had the whole code system.
50538.
I mean, there's something to be said about that.
I used to get those a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Good times now. And I remember the 2-ways when they came out. That's text messaging, guys. When we got that, we were like, you could text somebody.
I know. That was like a whole eye opener. When I had a BlackBerry, I was like, oh my God, this is like a world. And then the iPhone came out, and I'm like, I'm not using that. I want my keys.
Have you seen the BlackBerry movie?
No,
Watch
I need
it.
to watch that. I don't get to watch a lot of television.
Do it, man, because it's good. Sometimes you learn history and you learn things, and you're like, oh,
I do. I am a history person. I watch
But
a lot
the
of
BlackBerry
documentaries.
is interesting.
Yeah, I'll watch
People
that
didn't
one.
want no more keyboards, and the guy that made BlackBerry, the BlackBerry was like, I created the keyboard because like, why wouldn't you want a keyboard?
Oh my God, that changed my world when that happened.
Awesome.
To be honest,
I like those phones better with the little.
I did too at the time, but
that
then
was awesome.
once I figured out how to work the iPhone, it was like a whole other ballgame.
I mean, it's good. It's great.
Yeah.
But it's personal choice.
Yeah, but going back to that, transformation of like getting back into work, right? Because we were going there.
Yeah, we were going from like
I was a
inspired
homeless
to painter.
outreach, homeless outreach worker. Created this system to track success, and then my boss at the time said, "Christina, you're too smart for this. Go apply." Yeah, she really said that to me. Like she sat
You're
me
way
down.
too qualified.
I mean, that was weird to hear as a 24-year-old. You know what I mean? Like,
no, but like I said, you've
but
always
it
been
was-
ahead of the curve. I've seen it.
thank you for that. But she said apply for this program at Miami-Dade County, which then was called the Management Trainee Program.
Okay.
And what they did was they basically took applicants that had masters in various different, disciplines, and you got to have a job at Miami-Dade County, which is huge. We're talking about 40,000 employees, all right? It's like billions and billions of dollars in budget. It's huge. It's a mammoth of an organization.
Wow.
And I applied, and I was accepted. They accept 4 every year out of 150 people. And
you put
I
that lady
was
as a
late to
reference.
the interview because I'm a beach girl, all right? I had never been to downtown in my life.
Miami time.
Not a Miami time.
I'm
I
used to it
left.
already.
I left with plenty of time. I was there with my grandmother. She was, drilling me on the questions and everything.
Okay.
And I left an hour ahead of my interview, but in downtown Miami.
What year was this?
This was in 2005, 2006.
Oh, so
right?
they were doing
2007,
a lot
maybe,
of
like,
construction. Well, they're still
Yeah, and like the streets were weird, and where do you park, whatever. The point is, I got lost, all right? And I
But you
was
made
literally
it.
5 minutes late to the interview, and I walked in not knowing what to expect. They told me it was going to be a big deal, but I didn't know. And I walked in on the 29th floor, which is the highest level, right? You're in the mayor's office.
It was a panel of people.
A panel of people. There was 15 people around
And
the
you were
table,
late.
and never in my life had I ever been in an interview with that many people. And I'm a kid. I'm a young professional.
25 at the time.
Yeah. And I sat on my hands like this, and I'm like, all right, let me go. Let's go. And they just
Why'd you sit
drilled
on
me.
your hand?
Because I was shaking. My hands were shaking. I was late. I was
Were you
lost.
clammy?
I was late. I was
Oh,
lost. I mean,
shit.
it was such a thing. And like the person that came and got me was like, "Oh, you're late." I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I got lost." But being from Miami Beach, when you know, like we don't leave the beach. Like
No.
we don't go over the bridge. I think the first time I ever went over the bridge was when I went to Florida State University, but that's another story. And so out of from the skin of my teeth, they accepted me into this program,
Okay.
which was my path to success.
What was the name of the program again?
It was the Management Trainee Program.
Management Training Program.
And that was in 2005, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, I don't know if you remember, we had 5 hurricanes, right?
Was that
5 hurricanes,
Yes, I do
back
remember.
to back, right?
Actually, one of those I was with Robert.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. We were cracking up.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were having fun and I was working because I was kind of like interning in this program. And the point of the program is to be paired with directors of these major departments, right?
Yeah.
So you got to pick 4 departments, and then one of them was in the budget office to learn how to budget, which was a requirement. But then you got to pick other disciplines, parks and recreation or solid waste, like all these city services or police or whatever.
At no time was this like overwhelming?
I loved it.
It's overwhelming me right now.
It was overwhelming, but
Like,
I
you
loved
would tell
it.
me all these. See, that's what I'm saying.
I
Like,
loved
knowledge and
it.
stuff. Like I would hear all this, and I'm like,
For the first 2 weeks, they took us to every discipline, right? I even got to ride the police helicopter and like be in that scene. Like they took us to all the departments to really, it was a really eye opener. I don't think a lot of people know how much government does day to day. Like, you know, we pay our taxes, we go on with our lives, but
that's why you're here.
you know,
'cause
but
I
there's
want
a
you to
person,
explain.
yeah, there's people
Let
that pick up your
know.
garbage, and you know, there's a reason why there's police on the street. All of that comes together, and I really got to see that and experience that through this internship program, and then boom, 5 hurricanes. So all the departments that I had picked to work
We're in
in
charge of fixing what was broken.
were all at the Emergency Operations Center. So now I'm this young girl, you know, just starting out my career in the Emergency Operations Center, which is where all of the heads of these departments are at. And I got to watch decisions being made that were really high level. And I did whatever they wanted me to do, right? I mean, at one point, they gave me a county car to go check. They were delivering, I don't know if you remember, water and ice from helicopters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So-
because people couldn't get to over the bridge or something like that.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm in a county car with a radio. I had to drive through a crowd of people like a G and
You are a
report
G.
and
Don't
report
get it
like,
twisted, guys. She
yes,
works
the
for
water
the
and ice has
county?
been delivered, you know. And that's when I met Alice Robertson, who has since passed away, one of my mentors. We created thank you. Yeah, she was amazing.
Sorry to hear
Yeah.
that. One.
But she, you know, this is the path to success, meeting great people that mentor you and that you can jive with and that you have
they drop
connection
gems
with.
on you to like
Right.
keep on the legacy.
And always and forever. Love you, Alice. But yeah, so we created like a volunteer program. I created a tracking system for garbage. Garbage is money, all right? That's a big
How did
business.
you go about coming up with these concepts?
I think it was a part, like, I'm kind of like a technology geek and I didn't even know it, you know? And here I am watching all these things happen, and like they were doing things on paper and kind of basic and old school. And I'm like, I had just come out of college and computers.
Did college set you up for any of this?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I'm always telling people like college is, I mean, it's good, you learn, but
I think
not
it was just the
necessary.
moment when like I think there was a shift in our time, right? Of
Yeah.
like to a new wave of technology that hadn't been
And
kind
if
of
you
explored.
knew exactly how to go about it, then
Right.
you're ahead of the curve.
Right.
So that's where you were.
Yeah. So I used it and I did whatever they wanted me to do.
Yeah.
And boom, after that year, you know, I did the budget office thing, 5 hurricanes, all that stuff. Then I'm being called to go work at the county manager's office and be the second assistant to the head honcho of the entire county government, you know?
So they call you how? Like from your stats?
No, they
From
just picked up the
references?
phone. They called my then boss and said, "We want Christina we want to train Christina to come up. Are you okay with that?" And she couldn't say no. I mean, they run the government, and I got a crazy experience during that time. Like,
How did you meet them?
I was at the Emergency Operations Center.
So through
yeah,
that-
so they saw me kind of working, running
Moving.
around. You know, I mean, my mom, I'll never forget. She's like, "Why are you driving through hurricanes?" I'm like, "I have to go to work." You know.
You don't understand.
I gotta go to work, you know.
The city depends on
and having like a vehicle that they gave me was a responsibility for me, right? They're giving me a vehicle to make sure that I show up,
Yeah.
right, during a chaotic time. 5 hurricanes back to back in Miami. That's a mission,
Yeah.
you know. And it was a lot of damage. There was a lot of stuff going on. It was really chaotic.
It was
you know.
crazy, man. Especially
And all those hurricanes, none of us
floods.
thought, right? And the trees down, the whole thing, you know. So I felt a sense of responsibility, and I showed up. And by me showing up and being there was, I think, not to put it in their words, but they're like, okay, let's give her an opportunity to kind of come work up here.
So in Foresight, if it wasn't for the hurricanes,
Maybe not.
You would have not been in the position that you were.
Maybe not, you know.
So you were prepared, ready, and
Yeah.
you went 100 miles per hour, and you did it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. How old are you now?
So now I'm like, 25, 26 years old. I'm up there, and then I'm shadowing the person that makes every decision that affects Miami-Dade County. All right.
Okay. So
And-
when you were going through that,
and-
did you have any doubts? Did you have any maybe
Of
like?
course I did. I was like the quietest. You know, I'm very outgoing. And
Yeah.
I didn't speak for like 3 years. I don't think I spoke a word.
You just observed.
I
all
just observed and I just took it all in.
Wow.
Yeah. And then got to help one of the assistant county managers under parks and animal services. Like, I kind of got to dabble in major issues, like the Marlin Stadium deal. I was there for all of those negotiations.
Oh, can we talk about that?
No. No, we're not going to go there, but I'll say this. I got to witness some really genius activity to be able to elevate what was a visionary project that then kind of, turned kind of sour. But the intent there was good. It was to create opportunity for our museums and the stadium. Like, it was very visionary, but, we're not going to go in there. But I was put in situations where it was like had to be fixing problems, right? So, like, there was an animal shelter that was decrepit, and I got to be involved in the new animal shelter that's beautiful today.
Where's that at?
It's in the Doral.
Nice.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Where in Doral?
I think it's off of 36 or, yeah. And then, like, Jackson Hospital was tanking at the time.
Jackson was tanking.
Yeah, okay. And I was involved. I was, like, literally the, assistant to all the note-taking, all of the framing of how that happened.
So what are the steps that they take to, like, fix these type of things?
A lot. I mean, it's very much a team-driven approach, right?
Is it a lot like financial? Like,
yeah, of course. Everything's financial. I mean, I always, as a kid in high school, right?
Yeah.
I hated math, right?
Okay. Everybody.
In college, once I decided I wanted to be pre-med and all this stuff, I had to go back and relearn things that I had, like, skipped and, like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, like I said, in our school,
we could kind of, like, show up, and it was fine. But now it's different. Now that school's amazing.
Yes,
so, like, let's not knock each other.
It looks like I'm not knocking. I'm just saying the truth.
Yeah, it's true. At the time, then they definitely revamped the school. But you're right about that. And I had to, like, get into the financial aspect of things and, like, kind of learn math and loved math. Like, I had a love for it.
Yeah.
And everything is financial. Everything is numbers and money.
So once they get the numbers locked in, it's like, let's go.
And I got to see pro formas and how budgets are created and, like, how to fix problems through numbers,
Okay.
And I was taught that by this experience. But
and I guess you did well because now we're here, right?
And logistics, like major logistics. Like, I feel like I'm a logistics queen, and I love, like, all that stuff.
Okay, embark in that. Let's see what logistics and what you got to
well, like, elections at the time were, like, kind of a mess, and, like, creating where they're gonna have early voting and the hours are gonna have early voting, and mapping that out, and, like, pathing out, like, how many people are gonna show up at a location, like, all these logistical things, right? I was involved in at the time. Procurement, which is buying, right? Purchasing. We oversaw that department.
And never did you feel overwhelmed?
All the time. Oh, no, I was completely overwhelmed.
So you were overwhelmed, overworked, stressed,
but happy,
quiet,
but happy.
But happy. What made you happy?
My environment, the culture, and my mentors and the people that I was learning from, to be honest.
So your tribe that you're
The tribe,
in?
yeah. We had a lot of fun. We worked really late nights, a lot of the work that got done later in the night, I'll be honest, which, is hard when you're young and, like,
So at this time, you weren't really, like, financially struggling?
No, I was living at
You were chilling?
I was living at my parents' house, and then once I need to back up. So I was assisting the county manager, and then Alina Hudak, who's she just retired from the city of Miami Beach as a city manager. That was my boss that basically she tried me out, and then I worked for her.
Okay.
And she's like the G. She's like
she
was the first woman county manager.
Wow.
Which is a huge
What's her name
undertaking. Alina Hudak.
Alina Hudak. She's still working with
she retired from the county and then went to Miami Beach, worked there, I think, for maybe 4 years, and then just retired recently, maybe like 2 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she taught me everything I know, and then also Alice, of course. But she was very regimented, very organized, and she really taught me how to bring in the right people to solve a problem. Wow. Right? She never solved a problem alone. She always had the right people at the table, right?
Yeah. One thing about knowledge is knowing what to do with the situation.
Yeah, and then I'm the note taker, and I'm listening, I'm following up on everything and creating legislation to make sure that these things are effectuated, and sitting in commission meetings for hours. I mean, there was one budget hearing that lasted till 6 a.m. the next day.
And is it a meeting that you, like, it's discussed, or is it like
I'm completely entrenched in it. Entrenched in it. Yeah, completely entrenched in it.
It gets crazy?
The
war room gets crazy?
Yeah. There's definitely moments in that world that, because you're talking about compromise and negotiation, it's never perfect, right? If not, the word compromise wouldn't exist. So I got to experience and see what that evolved into.
Okay.
And then I got married, had my first baby, right?
Oh.
Actually pregnant, laying under my desk at that budget hearing, which was crazy.
You were laying under the.
I swear, yeah, because we got to get the job done and fine. Went into labor early, had my son early for being at the airport and looking at the new baggage handling system at American Airlines that just put it in. And I wanted to go because I was a part of like that logistical thing that they had done there. I went into labor early. Boom, I had my first son. My son, he's going to be 13 actually next week. And then,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And then had my daughter, right? And I'm like, I told Alina, I'm like, I need to have some, better work-life balance. I want to be there with my babies. And she understood.
So she gave you less.
So we started to look for opportunities within the county, but because I was at such a high level, it was hard for me to kind of find the right fit.
Yeah, you can't go backwards. You can't go backwards.
So that's how this job comes about at the Miami Downtown Development Authority, right? Because Alice at the time needed a government relations person, reached out to Alina, and boom, here I am, and I have this opportunity.
So that job was already constructed, or they made it for you?
No, it was there. It was there. It was a vacant job, and she reached out to me because she was my first mentor, my first boss, and said, "Would you like to work with me?" I'm like, "Absolutely." But it was scary because who leaves a county job? Great benefits.
So again, you had to go and talk to yourself and be like,
talk to myself, is this really what I want? Do I really want to leave this kind of, system that works to go into a world that I have really, I know a little bit of knowledge about the government side, but not the private sector side, And it was a beautiful moment and really the elevation of my career to where I am now. And I made that jump, right? It was a risk, right?
It was a risk that you took.
It was a risk
Did you weigh the pros and cons?
Yeah.
Or was it more like, I don't care, I just want to be with my kids more?
No, I weighed the pros and cons.
And
because I had a great support system in my current job. It wasn't like, I worked hard, but there was an understanding, right?
Yeah, you guys worked together. Yeah, like how they taught you.
Yeah, but she was also, a couple years she was going to retire. So then what happens to me? So there was a lot of thought into this, and because she cared, and having great mentors is very important.
You're lucky though.
I am.
Because you could have gotten a person that was not,
yeah,
they're
but
all there, and they could have had a grudge.
That's irresponsible, like if
yeah,
it's not the way to
reality,
be.
Man,
but it is.
And that's what we're trying to tell people. Like, man, sometimes you have opportunities like yours, and your personality.
She wasn't happy, right, that I wanted to leave,
but she wanted good for you.
Yeah, but she did. So I'm pregnant with my daughter, and I tell her this. Of course, she supports me. She meets with Alice, but she says, you can't take her till after she has the baby. And she has to train my replacement. So I stayed in my job and trained my replacement for 6 months, had my daughter, and then went into my new job.
So they put that position on hold until you finished?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that was I'll never forget. I went to the first board meeting pregnant, about to pop, it was crazy. So my time frame at the DDA rides with Chloe's age, and she's 9. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Your journey is amazing.
Thank you.
So now that you have 2 kids, you're married, you have the position. Okay, let's fast forward to those 6 months. Okay, once you jumped into the position.
Oh, it was terrifying. Of course, a new job is always terrifying.
Scary.
And having to learn, because now it's a 15-member board of high-level CEOs talking a lingo that is very different than the lingo I'm used to, that are all about downtown Miami and changing downtown. And honestly, at the time, I really didn't know much about the agency. They were not. They were kind of under the radar, I would say. Like, unless you were in the circle,
I wanted to ask you that because when I went to Nautilus, the middle school, right? I went to Treasure Island Elementary, then Nautilus. It seemed like every time I left the school, they developed something new for the school or rebuilt the school. And then I left Nautilus, they rebuilt the school. And then now we left Beach Eye and they rebuilt the school.
Yeah.
Do they have like a time frame? That they do these decisions, or is it mostly just budget-wise?
Definitely. They have a we call like a pro forma for like schools in general. Like there's schools they know that are falling apart, and then they calculate when they have to be replaced, and then these budgets come about and they replace the schools. But yes, that's all kind of planned out. Not as fast as it should in some cases. Like I would have loved to be in that new. I would have loved to be in that new school.
I would have loved to play soccer in that field.
I know, right?
You remember when we used to play?
They're lucky, of course.
It was like a mound with a dirt in the middle.
Yeah, my sister
had sprinkler systems, and
my
now
brothers played in that.
It's
new school.
What is it? The AstroTurf.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, damn, I wish we would have played it there.
Right?
Could you imagine?
Imagine.
Wow, less injuries. It was. I remember everything, and I'm like, man, if I had that field, it would have been a different situation.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We make the most of it, and we did at the time, so it was good. But yeah, so then I went to this new job. And, you know, kind of had to get into the culture, make sure that I fit in with the staff that was there. There's like a whole new team there.
And they took you in like
not very easily.
Not very easy.
No, it wasn't.
They were like,
easy.
"Who is this all-star?
Right, it wasn't. It
Who's
wasn't
this
easy.
rookie here?
Yeah,
Who's this rookie
but
with
I
this
didn't
little
let
attitude?"
that. I didn't let that affect me.
Never.
You know? I had moments where it wasn't like what I would have expected or how. I just never had to experience any like negativity when I was working where I was working.
Did you reflect on the times in college where you were sad? And
Of course, yeah.
So that helped.
Yeah, it helped. Yeah, and I said, you know what? They go low, I go high, and that's how I've always done, right? And after time, those people were since weeded out, and then you know, I get elevated into the role I'm in over time.
Wow.
And here I am.
So
not easy, you know. There was a lot of politics involved, and that's a whole other story that we won't get into. But
but like, I'm figuring in that environment, there has to be a lot of politics.
Yeah, there is. And I didn't realize it at the time when I took the job because at the county I was really sheltered. I was, you know, politics.
Yeah, you were an all-star, and then you went to the pros.
Right, and politics were in play there, but it was more managed, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Here it was different.
Everyone
was just
for themselves in a sense?
I mean, everybody's always there for themselves. I mean, come on, you know.
Yeah, I know that, but sometimes, you know.
It was more just balancing private with public, right? And private interest with public interest and merging what that meant.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Because you know me, I'm a free spirit. I splurt things out and
I
feel what I say
none of that.
and say what I feel.
Yeah.
And then I deal with the circumstances or situation.
I do that at home in the mirror.
There you go. So where did you go in your mind when it came to, okay, this is how I have to be. I have to be in this situation. I have to act this certain way. I can't let things, like you said, people go high, people go low, I go high.
Oh, no, I had a hard time. It was a little bit of a battle in the sense of I had to prove myself, right? In this corporate world.
Were you prepped by your colleagues?
I was definitely coached and prepped and kept my mentors informed along the way that gave me really great advice to stay the course and whatnot.
Helped,
and it helped, yeah. And there were emotional times, like I'm not going to lie, there were. But in the end, I stood my ground and I remained professional. And although I didn't, you know, maybe come from a Harvard education, you know, I know Miami. I'm from here.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean define professional for people that might not understand, like, because people think professional is just the title.
No, you have to exude that behavior, right, within yourself and your presence.
Correct.
Everything that comes out of your mouth, right? The way you look, the way you dress, the way you talk. I was very aware of all of that stuff.
Correct.
I know I look young. I still look young, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it was a little bit, I would say a little bit shocking for some people.
Like,
who is this young girl here, like kind of running this very mammoth big agency?
But you could get mad because I've seen you mad before.
I have my moments.
And you got your Cuban.
I have my moments, yeah, but I keep that, you know, on closed doors.
But have you had to use that at work or anything
No,
like that?
I mean, I would say that in the times that I had to advocate for myself, I knew how to do that in a very professional way. That wasn't aggressive, right? I would say.
But you got the point across.
Yeah, I got the point across. And, you know, I fought for myself because, I mean, there were times I wanted to throw in the towel. I'm giving up. I don't even know why I'm here. I'll go back to the county. I'm like, call my old peeps. Why am I doing this? And I had people pushing me and saying, do not quit. You're in the right path.
You're almost there.
You're almost there. You're doing the right thing. And then Alice at the time got sick and fell ill with cancer.
Okay.
And passed away really quickly.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so, you know, it gets me emotional. But she was really a key in all of this.
So that inspired you.
It inspired because she's like, you need to carry on this torch, right? Yeah. And carry out everything that I started, which I felt a huge responsibility to do.
Wow.
And I think, you know, that says a lot about my character, right?
Yes.
I was taught that, you know, by my family. This is who I am.
No, but everything you've been talking and saying shows that.
Thank you.
Shows from the beginning to now. You've been developing yourself. I don't want to say developing. You've been improving yourself.
I feel like that. I mean, I'm not perfect. You know, we can always do
but
better.
like I
learn every day.
From the outside looking in, you've always been a person like leading or helping or developing or producing. Like it's never been like you've been in the back.
Yeah.
The shadows.
Thanks. You know, I never really thought about myself in that way, but thank you for saying that.
That's how I've seen it.
Thank you.
It's always been like, okay, ask Christina.
That's so crazy because I guess that's kind of what's still happening today. But yeah, I got that opportunity through a really weird situation and sad situation, right?
It's life.
And I had to, that's life, you know. And you can either make a choice to, step it up, or.
So what made you take that choice and that decision?
I think it was just the sense of responsibility, right?
Towards what you promised,
towards what I promised her, towards the organization, towards myself, towards my family, towards the community, towards the 305. Like, I love my city, And I didn't, I wasn't.
Do you still have a 305 number?
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Sorry, you 786 people.
Yeah. So that really was what elevated me and gave me the opportunity to lead this agency.
Nice.
And then hired amazing people to support. One thing I would say about self-awareness is that I know the areas where I feel like I lack, right? Because I listen to criticism, I take it in. I might not always like it,
but you learn to ask for help.
Right, but I learned to ask for help. I wouldn't say I do it perfectly. I always learn every day. I mean, every day there's something. There's always a fire to put out. But having the right people around you to support, right, what your vision is.
Did you select your team?
I did over time, yeah, over time.
But you were part of the team when you started?
I was part of the team, and then those that did not like me left.
Really?
Yes.
It's like that?
Then? Yeah. And then I was able to hire people, that I wanted. And I used kind of a bit of science, right, through some assessments plus personality, and kind of configured a team that I knew would work.
And now you got an all-star team.
Yeah, they are. They definitely are all-stars.
I mean, I see it. If it is what it is and you guys are creating and developing, I see it in the city.
Thank you.
And so that was what year did you actually okay, this is your position, what we spoke about earlier? You were what, in the 30s, 31?
So I officially got the title of the CEO during the pandemic, believe it or not.
Oh, 2020?
Yeah, I was in like a 2-year flux, right? Because Alice was there, not there. And so, yeah, in 2020 is when I officially got appointed. The city commission has to vote you in.
So talk about the pandemic.
Oh, that was an amazing.
Was it amazing?
Amazing and sad. It was like a mix of emotions, right?
I am at this point. I hear a lot of different things, man.
Yeah, I was getting a divorce. I'm a single mom, Here I am. I have this crazy responsibility in this new role. But I use the pandemic, I would say, in a way to appreciate family. And I never, to be with my kids at home, obviously it was overwhelming, right?
Yeah, I would think
there are
so.
2 computers. I think my daughter was 5 or 6.
You
she
have
doesn't
to deal
know.
with all the.
Yes. So what I did was adjust the hours of my team, because I have, crazily enough to admit, a lot of single moms on my team.
Okay.
Right? So I had to adjust our time of work, because everybody was getting the kids ready for school online, which none of us had to do,
That was weird.
It was weird.
But what I want to ask you is, in that time, because I know they gave you instructions.
Right. It was all over the place, I would say. But what I did was I got to use my creative brain again, and going back to my
because I know
original.
I know your mindset. So
yeah.
If they're giving you instructions, I know you're thinking of okay, but what if we do this?
Yeah.
How did you handle that situation?
I just created opportunities that were more on the vibe of what I know Miami to be, right? So downtown at the time, me and my team had just changed the law, right? So that bars and restaurants could be next to each other, because in the Flagler area.
Oh, tell me about that. I
Yeah.
didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
You couldn't have a bar next to a restaurant.
No.
But or you could have a restaurant with a bar.
If a 7-Eleven was selling, let's say, wine, right? You couldn't have a bar next door. There was 500 feet of a distance requirement. And coming up from Miami Beach and living that whole world in that time in the late 90s and early 2000s, I'm like.
That makes
sense.
And
when you walk
and that was
downtown,
only in the city of Miami.
Right.
Not Miami Beach.
In that area. In fact,
I remember Miami Beach we had.
No, they have their own.
Yeah. So it's okay.
So, during the pandemic, I'm talking to my parents who are small business owners. I'm like, what am I going to do to help these businesses? We just changed this law. I don't know how they're going to survive. She goes, my mom says, put on your sneakers and walk the streets and go talk to everybody. And that's what I did, safely, with a mask.
You did the groundwork.
I did the groundwork. I had my team create really cool masks with smiley faces. Emerson Calderon, he's an amazing graphic artist. I mean, those masks were worn by the Heat players all over the place. I mean, it was amazing.
Wow.
And I listened, to the feedback.
Yeah.
And really tried to create programs to not only retain the businesses that were existing, but we did a bunch of really creative
So this
things.
was the first time you ever did something at this level?
Yeah.
How did that make you, self-concept? How did you feel more a higher stature?
Yeah,
or you
definitely.
still felt...
Yeah, I think it awoke a part of me that I think was asleep for a long time, right?
Oh, they woke
'Cause
up
I
a
had,
sleeping bear?
yeah, I mean, I kind of had been on this like logistical, very like organized, structured path for so many years.
Now you broke the chains.
And then I kind of like, because I was, up late at night in my own quiet zen when the kids were asleep,
Yeah.
watching what was happening around the world, hearing the music and the balcony music and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, why don't I help employ our DJs, right? Or the club scene. Like, I'd love to go and have a good time and go
Yeah, of
dance and have
course.
fun.
That's what we
And
grew- it's
all
our
of us were
culture.
stuck at home. So how can I bring that back to everybody in Miami? Because Miami, that's our part of our culture, music, dance, all of that. And
Let me
that's
get
what I
this
did.
straight. You're the reason why we were able to party and do everything after that?
I don't want to say that exactly, but kind of, sort of.
I know her.
I mean, yeah. So I talked to my team, and we came up with a program where we employed DJs, right, that were
Yeah.
spinning in the club scene. A lot of the ones that, I mean, were friends of ours throughout the years.
Shout out to Effect.
Yeah, he actually spun one of the nights.
Yeah.
And out of that, my social media channel for the DDA, which is Downtown MIA, grew substantially, because now I want to say, like, we started at the beginnings of Twitch, right?
So
like
how did you get that lost to start it?
What do you mean?
Like, how did you change it? Like, what were the steps that you took?
So the law for the distance requirements, we went to the city commission. We had a bunch of meetings. I mean, it was a process. We met with the
How
zoning
long did that
department.
take?
It probably took about 8 months to make that happen, to be honest.
So you think like a regular citizen could do it? Or no?
No. You have to have the city departments involved in something like that. We created a new district, basically.
Okay.
So bars and restaurants in the Flagler district, which, if you can think, it's like Flagler Street, First and First, right?
Yeah.
Can be open till 5 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah. So that alone is like a huge opportunity.
Okay.
But then
First and
pandemic
First and
comes,
Flagler.
right? And pandemic comes, and then that kind of makes it more difficult because you can't be,
Can't be out.
right? So I just kind of shifted and created this whole music kind of energy through the Instagram channel, and like people are chatting in there, and like everybody's having like happy hour.
Wow.
And then David Guetta, I don't know, reached out to one of our board members and wanted to do this United at Home concert, which I thought was crazy. I think it was like April 6th, maybe 3 weeks into the pandemic, and called me and said, Christina, do you want to do this? And I'm like, okay, well, only can we do, because I was on Zoom calls all day long, right? You're on Zoom,
Yeah.
Zoom. I'm like, can we do like a giant Zoom club? Like, can you guys create like a Zoom club, like where everybody around the world can see Miami? All right, then I'll do it. But I'm going to do it in a place where I know we can lock down safely.
Yeah.
Right? I called the city manager. He was supportive. And we locked down the Icon. And David Guetta spun for 45 minutes and put Miami on the map. I had those drones and the footage and the Zoom call. 20 million people watched that.
So you became a promoter.
I guess. I mean, in a way, I don't want to call it promoter,
We're
but
built
more
for this.
promoter like of Miami, right? And then condo sales went up 70%. Everybody wanted to live in Miami after they saw that footage and that
it's
whole
still
thing.
going up, man. Where are these people going to fit? That's why we keep building and building and building.
Well, that's, the
Isn't
job
it
of the
growing too
politicians.
fast?
I mean, and Miami has always been like that. I always say it's like a teenager about to get into adulthood, about, to fly.
Because I remember, there were buildings, but now it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I look at the landscape and I'm like,
it's a lot.
I remember when it was
it's definitely different than when, even when I walked into downtown for the first time.
South of Fifth is.
Yeah.
I tell my clients, like, yo, they used to be like this. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. But those are, so as part of my work, like keeping Flagler Street historic and keeping that vibe and that energy, right? In my new role through the pandemic, like I did a big fashion show on the street, socially distanced with influencers, the blondes, out of New York that had studied here in Miami and wanted to bring all those influencers that were at all at Soho House, to see what Miami was about.
Yeah.
And to also elevate and show the very unique part of Miami that a lot of people that are local don't get to come to, because there wasn't a lot on Flagler Street, right?
At all.
Right.
K.O.S around there?
Right. And so we started this whole renovation project to fix that street. We did that fashion show, and out of that, you got now.
Did they fix that theater?
Well, that's still part of that was an activation for the theater, but the theater is gonna, they have grants out there to try to fix the theater. That's all in kind of flux right now.
That's a nice theater.
It needs to be fixed. It's
That's
my
landmark.
favorite.
It's amazing.
It's
What's
the
name of it?
gem, the Olympia Theater.
Olympia
Yeah, the
Theater.
former Gusman Theater. Yeah.
I suck with names. That's why I asked.
No, you're good.
Faces I know 'em. Places I know 'em.
Yeah. No, but the theater, we're hopeful that it'll be renovated. But yeah, so that whole project that we did was part of that. And, you know, that's what I feel like, you know, all these investments that have come into downtown more recently. You got, 9, 10 clubs now. Like, people are talking about downtown now. There's a 24/7 vibrancy.
I remember when they had that Mia club, and then they had developed another club, and then they just stopped. And then all of a sudden, Wynwood just boom.
Right, that was all that time. And then now downtown's like the spot. You got Julia and Henry's, which is a huge eatery in downtown. And it's like a historic, adaptive reuse of a building with 30 restaurants in there.
Wasn't that where Macy's used to be?
No, that's further down.
Further down, okay. Yeah, but I drove by it. I saw it. It's right before the bridge, right?
Yeah.
That's nice. How did they come up with that concept?
Well, I think it was just a developer, you know, an idea that they had and came to fruition.
Because I know they have like a painting outside of a guy, and it says dedicated to him or something. I don't know.
Well, it's Julia and Henry. So Julia Tuttle, which is the woman that founded Miami. Miami was founded off of a woman. Okay. And then Henry Flagler, which brought the railroad down after she convinced him, sending him after the big hurricane, a basket of grapefruit and saying, Miami is fruitful, come invest here.
Yeah, but there were natives already here.
Yeah, there were. And there's a whole other story there. There's a whole other story.
We got to shut that out because she came and I'm sure they were here already.
Yeah, they were. And she was very respectful of that. But
which brings me to when they were developing right there in Brickell. Do you know about that whole development? They were digging it up?
Yes.
How did that come about?
Well, you know, all of the... they lived on the river.
Yes.
Right? So, you know, most developers know that it's a possibility that you might hit some artifacts. And once you do that, the federal government gets involved. They shut down the development. And then there's a whole other process to make sure that they are archiving and kind of documenting. And we have a 200,000. I mean, there's, what was it, mammoths and whales that they've never even seen before that they've uncovered. Yes. Wow. In that location. There's a lot of history here.
Super amount of history. The building that's directly next to that, well, I used to play soccer on the roof there.
Right.
So we would go and then we would see that they were there. And then the Spot Barbershop, they had their offices there.
Right.
So I got a chance to talk to the people down there and see what they were doing. And they were showing me. And I saw some of those things.
Yeah, no, the Takestas were whale hunters.
Yeah. So, of course, they were by the river.
So they were by the river. They lived on the river.
So,
so they found crazy artifacts in there. I mean,
are they going to make a museum out of it or something?
Well, yeah, they're working on that.
Awesome.
Thankfully, the related group wants to contribute to that. They're the ones that are developing, so they're working that all out. But crazy enough, last year in the Miami Film Festival, Nicolas Cage came down there.
You met him?
I didn't meet him. He thanked me on the phone.
I was watching. If you guys don't know, like David Beckham and Christina are pretty much working together, right? That was awesome. When I saw it, I was like, oh, shit.
Well, I was at the county at the time when he was doing the whole soccer stadium.
Yeah,
I mean, it was crazy, and he's such a lovely person.
So when are we going to get the stadium?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're building it, right?
Damn.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening.
For me, the soccer
playing, soccer is blowing up. I mean, from the time when you were playing.
I don't want to drive all the way over there, man.
Yeah.
And then when you get there, the parking is.
No, they're gonna fix all that. It'll be fine.
And then when we win, it's cool. When we lose, it's like, damn it.
But I will say, there's definitely an energy around soccer in Miami now. You know.
What do you
and
mean?
you
You've
guys,
been around
you all
it the whole
started
time.
it, but you all started it. And I feel like now, like my son decided to try to play soccer when he was like 11, and he went. He's like, "Mom, no, I'm gonna stick with basketball. These guys are too good, you know, because our generation's been bringing up our kids since they're like 4, 3 years old."
That's
and
what
like,
I tell people. I'm like, yo, when we were playing soccer, these fields were not what they are now.
Yeah.
The parks are not
but
what they are now.
I love that. I love that Miami's evolved in that way, you know. So like, although there's been a lot of growth and infrastructure, and yes, it is maybe in some cases overbuilt, there is like this sense of community to keep our parks and make sure that we have spaces for play and fun.
I wouldn't say overbuilt. I would say overpriced.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah, because I'm like, damn, there's a lot of buildings. Why is it so expensive?
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, if you build it, they will come. I mean, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
You know.
And I tell people, I'm like, dude, I think what's wrong with Miami is that a lot of Miamians are leaving Miami.
Yeah.
Like I cut hair all day, and I've been having to say bye to clients. Like, oh, I'm leaving to Coconut Creek, or I'm leaving to Orlando, or I'm leaving here. I'm like, whoa, I'm like, where's everybody going?
Yeah.
And then at the same token, the other side of the token,
but that's been happening.
I've been getting new clients. And those clients are like, yeah, I'm here from California. I'm here from New York. I'm here from
I would say,
New
like,
Hampshire,
you know, you got to keep it
Connecticut.
like cultures evolve and, you know, you got new people coming in, old people leaving, people staying. I mean, you got to look at it in that way. It's kind of like the circle that has to keep on spinning. And the responsibility of the politicians is to make sure that this is all sustainable, right?
Correct.
And my agency is is helping to be the kind of like the, I wouldn't say policymakers, we're like the catalyst to make sure that those voices are heard, right, on both sides, to make sure that things are done responsibly, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be perfect, right? Because you got competing interests, but you're not wrong to feel like that. And what I always say is like, stay, don't leave. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here. It's just a way to navigate it.
When the whole real estate boom happened, people didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So now that they want to buy, it's
right.
like, you can't buy it.
Right. Right.
But I don't know if the city.
I mean, I bought my house during the pandemic, but I was lucky. Again, another instance of luck,
Yeah, I mean, I guess you've been lucky because you've been prepared and you've been doing everything.
And I'm a hustler.
That is for sure. And people have been giving you guidance. And then now that you're part of the empire, you're pretty much in the mix.
Right. But that I guess is a message I want to say, like, us locals and you that are saying all these beautiful things and teaching people, like, be part of the movement, get involved.
How can people get involved?
They can watch meetings. All of these government meetings are on via Zoom. You can watch mine via Zoom, right? Or you can come to our meetings. You can follow us on social media at Miami-Dade, at Downtown MIA, right?
Downtown
all of our social media channels, or go on our website, miamidada.com. And just stay in tune with everything that's going on, because I think the more that you're informed, the better equipped we are. And
you guys have like any type of like maybe gatherings?
Yeah, we have networkers. We're doing a business networker for the office market on April 24th that anybody can come to. Okay. And you can put that up. I'll send it to you. So if you want to put that up on the podcast, but
for sure.
A lot of what we do is that community engagement, networking. We do coffee with a cop, coffee with an ambassador at businesses as an example, to get the businesses to come together and kind of learn about what we do. But we do a lot of office networkers, business networkers, so that people understand what's going on. But the best way to get involved is by staying in tune with your local government. A lot of people just don't understand what that means, right?
It's not understanding it. Like in my case, like I don't really want to deal with the government. Because of
but on social media now you can follow
or understanding of what is really occurring and happening.
If you go on our social media channel, right? I try to tell a story on there, and with the team, right? We try to tell a story on there to inform everybody of what we're working on, right?
Correct.
So if you follow that, you're a downtowner, you live in Brickell, downtown Edgewater, you follow that, I feel like
they know what's happening.
You know what's happening. I hope so, And if not, please tell me how to make it better, right? But that's kind of like my MO, right?
Yeah.
Is access, creating access, and for us locals
now with communication, everything.
Yeah, communication, everything's not perfect, but if you're involved and you're kind of engaged and you're in the know, right? Inform yourself and don't kind of create your own
spread the word.
Assumptions. Yeah.
But we've talked about all the glory. Now let's talk about the hiccups.
The hiccups.
What hiccups have you had in this whole journey of yours that's so amazing?
I mean,
you could share so a person that's watching, maybe a young female that's inspired. Yeah. Like the way they told you, be careful with this, be careful with that. Make sure you do this, make sure you don't do that. Like, what would you tell a young, inspiring entrepreneur?
I would say remain authentic, right? To yourself.
Authenticity, self-awareness.
Yeah, self-awareness, remain authentic. As a female coming up in a corporate world, it's not easy. I think there's not enough, I'm not one of these crazy, I'm not one of these women like that. Like, I respect all levels of, value and all that stuff, but I would say it's not easy in the role that I've been put in, right?
Yeah.
And remaining authentic and staying true to myself and
Was it a male that was in your position before you?
No.
It was just
female.
Open. It was a female?
But those that ran the show around me were all males, right? The women were kind of like the doers.
Was that a little intimidating? We are doers. Was that intimidating?
No, it wasn't intimidating. I would say later.
Because if I'm in a room full of women, I get intimidated.
Yeah, I would say later it was for other reasons, but be aware of yourself, right? Your presence, right? How you're portraying yourself. Don't get it twisted, and remaining authentic and making sure that what you're trying to achieve, you're achieving, and don't let anybody,
or anything,
no matter what it is, get you off that path, right?
Nice.
And that's what I think has been my path to success, to be honest. It's just
And where'd you learn that?
persevere. From my parents, from my grandmother, from my mom. My mom is a badass, you know, like she's been, you know, running
Yeah,
her
she
own.
ran. She developed everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about how the people that are around you, whether your parents are there or not, it's your the energy that's around
So
you. Is
selecting
really
your
important.
tribe, selecting people around you.
Yes, absolutely. They say in Spanish, you know, dime con quien anda y yo te
Te digo
digo quién
quién tú
eres,
eres.
right? So like that type of thing, making sure that the people that
That's
are around
yes
you
or
are.
no? That's yes or no?
Yeah, but it's
'Cause you know
important.
me. I know a lot of people
Yeah, me
from
too.
all sorts of
Me
life.
too. And I like to walk around with a lot of people. So like, I'd like to do that
Yeah.
to put myself in different grupitos, right? Different.
Yeah, that's how you learn and
you know,
evolve, and you get.
Yeah, and
to
I
know
take
what's
it all
real.
in. Yeah,
Because
and
when you're with a certain group, like say high elites, they're in a different level in the sense of like
Yeah.
the way of thinking. Like you said, when you
Right.
started listening to their conversation, you were like,
Mhm.
"Whoa, okay."
yeah, I'm like,
this is a
am I
different
ready for
language.
this? Can I do this? You know, like you question things,
Yeah.
right? But then you learn from that, and not
You evolve.
you evolve, right? And not like beating yourself up too much, right? That's the key, because it's easy to do that when you're hearing,
Yeah, you have doubt.
everything around you. There's doubt, like
You
and
have doubt.
overcoming that doubt by action, right?
Yeah.
By action, by consistency, by staying the course, and
When
by
you say
persevering.
action, you mean like what? Like asking
Showing
for help?
No.
Or just
well, asking for help, yes, is important. That's
or
always
just
important.
asserting
Action
yourself.
meaning like showing up, consistency. You know, making sure that what you say you're gonna do, you do. Right.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Okay.
And that's what I was taught from a kid. You know.
So it
That's
became normal.
I mean, I wouldn't say it came normal. There's times where I'm like, oh, do I really want to go to that? Yes, you're gonna go because you said you're gonna go, and that's it. And you know, remaining consistent and staying to the course. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
It's important. I didn't want to leave to college. I wanted to stay with my family. I missed everybody, but I still stuck it out.
yeah. And
you
if
know?
you wouldn't have
And it
gone,
was not easy.
who knows what you would have been?
Who knows what would happen, right?
You probably would have been a professional dancer.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think so, you know. But yeah, that's it. That's the story.
That's the story.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got to look forward to now?
I don't know, you know, I think I'm just embracing the beautiful gift that I've been given, right? And really cultivating a great team and wanting to make sure that I'm staying authentic to the 305 and supporting our local businesses and making sure that I'm part of a good story that elevates Miami in a very unique way.
Wow.
Right. And that's me.
All right. So let's paint this picture. There's a girl in college that left Miami Beach, and she doesn't know exactly what to do with her life. And she's doubting. She's not really understanding what's here and there. If you could talk to that girl, what would you tell her?
Keep going. You're doing it.
Keep going?
Yeah, you keep going. You're doing it.
Never quit?
Never quit. We're not quitters.
No quitters?
No quitters. No.
Not in the Crespi family.
Nope.
That's
Nope.
awesome.
Never quit.
And then the other question I ask all the guest star, and it might be more in your field that you might be answered a little different than everybody else, because I asked this to artists and they all say the other thing. But you've seen The Bronx Tale, right? The movie with Robert De Niro.
Uh-huh.
You know the part when he asked the mobster, he goes, "Would you rather be feared or loved?"
Loved.
Loved.
Yeah.
Why?
I guess I just always want people to like me. I don't know. I mean, I always say like my fatal flaw and my beautiful gift, you know? I think I manage my team, even in my own household, and like I was just brought up like that.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has a story, you know. Yes, we have a job, you know, but people are people. People have stories. You have to make sure that everybody's jiving, that there's this balance, right?
Nice.
And
like
I
a vibe.
rather the vibe,
Create
the
the vibe.
balance, right?
Show love, get
And
love.
yeah, show love,
respect,
get love, and
respect.
always like elevate, right? We're not here
to bring nobody down
right.
or anything. Like
And fears, of course, there's gonna be fears, but that's not.
no, I would think you would say something different, because since you're like you have to deal with a lot of people, maybe
I
they
do.
do fear.
And yes, I can.
Like, oh, Christina's here.
I can create that in moments, right? I can be that person, but I do it, I think, with a sense of grace, right? And if I have to flex, I flex, right? But I do it with grace and with respect, because listen, don't spit up, don't spit down, because it all comes around.
Wow.
You never know. That person that you tried could be your boss one day, you know, and I've seen that happen. All right.
Yeah, me too.
And it's facts, you know, so you gotta live your life with a sense of respect. That's how I see it. And love and empathy, because you never know what's going to happen here. Right. You know,
right.
And that's my MO.
Awesome. Chris, so, let people know what to look for, how to find any information that they need from you, and also what's up and coming.
Yeah, so definitely follow us on social media, all channels, right? Downtown MIA, and our website's www.miamidada.com. Up and coming, lots of networkers, it's Tech Month, so there's a lot of technology, different activations and events. I got Emerge coming. Okay. And then in
What's
July, Emerge is a big technology conference in Miami. Hello.
Really?
Yeah,
where are they going to have that?
It's in the Miami Beach Convention Center, but that started long ago. That's evolved into this whole ecosystem of technology that we have today.
Can I get one of those K.O.S. special guest VIP?
I'll get you one.
Yo, you heard, Roger? We're going to go.
Yeah. But we have a lot of grants. We have a business incentive program to retain businesses and support our small businesses, but also to bring new businesses into downtown. And so stay tuned for that in May. And in July, grants and activations for events. For those creatives of the world, we do that too. So
nice.
Yeah.
So that's like any other call to action that you have?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it
for now.
Christina, it's been great. I appreciate you coming.
I appreciate you.
I'm gonna have you come back because I know you're developing new things, and when you got to promote something, I want you to come and let people know.
I would love that. I would love that.
Love, appreciate you.
Always.
Guys, Christina Crespi, one of my good friends. Keep in touch with her and keep your eye and ears on the streets and know what's going on in Miami.
Yeah, let me know. I always like that feedback.
Yes. All right. Live, love, and laugh.
That's right.
Peace out,
Bye.
guys. Take care.